And what I want to pivot to is the NBA All-Star Game. While I was waiting for the Four Nations game to start Saturday night, I was scrolling Twitter. Lo and behold, I learned something. Or I was reminded of something. All I was looking forward to on Saturday night was USA-Canada. I had totally forgotten. Hand up. Second time I'm putting my hand up today. Hand up. I had totally forgotten that the NBA skills competition was that night too. I had totally forgotten that it was NBA All-Star Game. All day, all I was thinking about was this Four Nations game. Frankly, I am glad I wasted zero energy on this NBA skills competition. The night got off to a roaring start. Chris Paul and Victor Wembanyama, they got disqualified from the skills competition. Why? Well, the competition consisted of a course of different games, different skills the duos had to complete. And one of them was shooting. And so the two of them decided that they were better off not taking the shots because you didn't even have to score the shots. So they were getting torched. These two were getting torched online for trying to scheme the system. And ultimately, they got disqualified from the entire thing. So we started off the night with two players trying to scheme the system in the NBA skills competition. And then Mac McClung won the slam dunk competition. Don't get me wrong. He's insanely talented when it comes to dunking. But seriously, the highlight of NBA All-Star Weekend was a lifetime G Leaguer winning the slam dunk competition for the third straight year. 3 straight years, the winner of the NBA slam dunk competition is a G League player. Does that sound alarming to anybody about the state of basketball and the state of their All-Star Game competition? And frankly, nobody was talking about this event. Like, seriously, nobody cared. To my joy, all everyone was talking about online was USA, Canada, and Four Nations. But luckily for the NBA, the NHL gave them Sunday night all to themselves for the All-Star Game. For the actual All-Star Game. Fine. For the All-Star Game, they also did a 4-team tournament. It was a mini tournament. Games to 40. The teams were coached by the 3 color analysts on Inside the NBA. Chuck, Shaq, and Kenny. And Candace Parker was the 4th coach. Like the night before, I had no idea any of this was happening. Honestly, I was much busier watching SNL 50 than I was watching the NBA All-Star Game. Side note, I thought SNL 50 was fantastic. I proclaim to not discussing anything but sports on this show, but I'll take 30 seconds, or the 10 seconds that just was, to say that I thought it was great. But anyways, another colossal failure for the NBA. Maybe the worst All-Star Game they've ever had. I don't have much to say about it. Not entertaining, not good play. Did not feel like we even scratched the surface of seeing great talent in the NBA. And one thing that was controversial leading up to it was, to the actual game, was LeBron James. During a press conference, a pregame press conference, he casually dropped that he's not actually going to be participating in the game. And people were upset. First of all, classic for NBA players to not actually want to play in the game. And second of all, they were saying if he was never going to play, why didn't he announce it earlier to give somebody else a spot? I don't care to see anybody else. So I don't agree. If you're just saying let's see some sixth man on some random sixth man get an opportunity, I don't care about that. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't say, well, nobody actually plays in the All-Star game. Nobody actually cares. But then also say LeBron should have let somebody else play. So that argument's out the door. It's out the window. The issues with the NBA All-Star game span much further past LeBron James deciding 5 minutes before the game not to play. What the NHL has that the NBA does not is that the players cared. This year, with the event that the NHL put on for their All-Star weekend, which is not really anymore an All-Star game, the players cared. Matthew Tkachuk, Brady Tkachuk, JT Miller cared. They put their bodies on the line to the max. You know, Kevin Durant tweeted yesterday. This was the day after the All-Star game. He tweeted, "I think it's more fun to complain about the NBA than to actually watch it. Crazy. Cancel All-Star weekend. Let's just give everybody a break since we're so miserable around this time." You know what, KD? I agree. It may be time for the NBA to just scrap the All-Star game. Will they? No. You're overlooking the amount of money that still probably brings in for the NBA, the amount of revenue, the TV deals that they have with these networks to broadcast the game. But what do you do from here? This was an embarrassing weekend for the NBA. They had the NHL slaughtering them online. It felt like everybody and their mother was talking about Four Nations, and nobody gave two damns about NBA All-Star Weekend. And so what do you do from here? And frankly, what can other leagues do now? One of the crazy things that I saw was across sports, across the entire sports world, everybody was celebrating what a great event the NHL put on. And people were talking about real big personalities were discussing what can the other leagues do to replicate what the NHL was able to do. You know, I saw one specific idea. I think Joel Sherman threw it out. And it was saying, how can baseball replicate this? How can they make their All-Star game better by trying to incorporate an international flavor representing your country? And one idea that he threw out was make the home run derby, instead of just having it random or just having it AL versus NL, have it be 4 players from each, not 4 players, but a couple players from each country representing in one country, and they win it for their country. I love that. I absolutely love that. That's a great idea. Good thinking. I don't think baseball's All-Star game needs much fixing, because I think players already care and put in enough effort for it to work. So I don't think that they necessarily need to make some sort of Four Nations tournament, although I do think in the condensed NHL Four Nations format that they propose and they are doing, I think it would actually work in baseball. If they wanted to do a USA, make a Japan, Mexico, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, whichever 4 countries you want to choose. If they wanted to go that route, I think it would be awesome. The beauty of Four Nations is that it is short and to the point. Round robin, 4 teams, no playoff, just 2 top 2 records, go all the way to the championship, and that's it. And so, yes, if you used it for a home run derby format, it would be amazing. But I think it would work just as well if you wanted to scrap the entire All-Star game and do your own Four Nations. Now, the problem for the other 2 leagues is it would never work in the NFL. You'd have America versus America. And I think in the NBA, you kind of run into that problem too. I'm not sure you could really put together 4 countries worth of teams in the NBA. In the Olympics, they take these teams, Serbia, you have Jokic on Serbia, but then you also have pretty much the rest of the team are all Serbian players that do not play in the NBA. And the idea I proposed last week for the NBA was have it be regional, United States regional, right? So either do states, so all the players from New York play all the players from originally from California. I think that could be fun. You could do all the players from the Northeast against the Midwest, and then a world team, and then a West team. I was thinking this last night. Why don't you do all the players from each prep school? So you do a team of IMG against Lehigh, and you do it that way. I thought that could be fun too. But the NBA, just to wrap this all up, the NBA needs to think of some way to make their players care. Will a 4 nations work? I don't think so. You have so much international talent, though, and so much talent within the United States. You could do a world versus United States game. Figure out a way to make your players care. The NHL figured out how to do it, and it is so fun. I cannot wait for Thursday night, the rematch of the United States against Canada.